All right, great stuff. Welcome, everybody, to the second of our 3 sessions for the subject leadership. I've just started the recording there, and I see we already have a number of people there online. So it is 5, so I'm not going to wait till everybody's online. So at least that we utilize the time optimally that we've got available. All right, so maybe just first 1 or 2 maybe administrative things. Guys, you would notice that your test is next week on Monday. Please note that the system will be open. I see that ITF actually said it has to be open before 6 o'clock in the morning. So it will be open for the entire day until 12 o'clock that evening. So when you click on your online test, which is the green bar, you will just click on the test, and you'll open, and once it starts opening, the time will start to count. So you've got 1 hour to complete the online test. Your results will also be made available immediately. And just a few hints on that, because we can ask any kind of MCQ, and MCQ is a multiple choice question. And in this case, the multiple choice questions consist of a question and 4 possibilities. Very important, there is only 1 correct answer. We have no multiple choice questions where there are 2 or 3 or everything can be correct. Only 1. You can only make 1 selection. So it's literally just coming up the question. There's a little dot there. You click on that and you just move on to the next one. Now, to assist you in completing the MCQ, you obviously can have your textbook, your study guide, everything with you. You have Google with you. You can have any resource with you that you think you might require. And as I've mentioned in my information I've sent to you, the word index at the back of your textbook is always a good place to start, because normally what happens is that you'll get a question and there will always be some keyword or words in the question. And then obviously you would like to quickly find where is that keyword or words. And the best way to do it is either to use the index in the front. So we may talk about multiculturalism in leadership. So you can go to your index and quickly look up where that, and then go to the 11th page. Or you can also go to the back of the textbook, as there's an index and with words, and you can see quickly there's the word multiculturalism or multicultural leadership, and it gives you a number of pages. You know, it could be page, so it can be here on page 5, 20, 80, and that immediately help you to quickly find the relevant spots in your textbook. It is really not a difficult MCQ. We're not trying to catch out anybody. And it's really kind of very straightforward. And I think a lot of the things we mentioned and in the presentation and what we have done online is very relevant to what you'll find in the question. So it's really not that difficult. So, and you've got 20 questions in 1 hour. It's really more than enough. Most people complete that way beyond an hour. So just make sure that when you go online that you have a secure connection, and also just make sure that you don't get disturbed for that hour that you're going to do your test. But you've got like 24 hours in which you can complete that particular test. So if there's still any doubts and you're still maybe not sure, you are always welcome just to drop me an email and just to say, Henk, I just want to clarify if I understand this correctly or that correctly. You're more than welcome to do that, and I will try to respond as quickly as possible. So yes, that is it. And then, as I've mentioned also in some of my correspondence, we soon will start out sending out the study material for the remaining 2 modules. Also, the module on management, which is the next one. I will probably open that before the end of the year for those who is not doing very much either between Christmas and New Year, and you are a very dedicated student, which is not myself, you can start looking there on what is management and assignment and so forth and so forth. So I'll open that module for you guys so you can have a look what is within that module specifically. So besides tonight's class, we still have the 5th for your class test and then the 15th to upload your assignment. Please, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, there's no cover page for your assignment. Just create your own cover page. Just write your name and your student number on that. That's 100% enough. You upload it normally by just like uploading any file, which you'll do in like uploading a Word document, and keep it in Word. The document is 100% fine. Once it's uploaded, we cannot go and change things. If we change things, you will see that. So that can really not happen in this case. So please, you're more than welcome to upload your assignment. And then Christo has made a promise that he will assess all the assignments before he goes on leave. So it's the 15th, he's actually on leave, but he said that just the weekend after the 16th, that week after that, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 will finish just before he's leaving for his own destination for Christmas. So we're going to give you all that feedback before Christmas. Then it just leaves us then for the exam for next year, and look out because I will start to send some information. Also, ladies and gentlemen, please keep in mind that on your Canvas, please click around and play around and look at information. I just had a look there. I see they already have put there in there's a script on the right-hand side which show test and assignment and due dates, and everything's already been uploaded there and ready. But you're more than welcome. Look everywhere. Click on everything. Nothing can really happen. You cannot change anything. I myself and IT is the only people that really can change anything. So really go through it. Keep in mind also, I can see who is on the system and how long you're on the system and what you are doing and so on. But please feel free and really go and have a look and browse around and familiarize yourself how things work so that you can ask questions then if you need it. Also, when you do the MCQs and you get stuck somewhere, you will always be able to contact me because I will be available, and also then to try to assist you whatever you need to be assisted with. Although I don't really think there will be any challenges coming from our side, in the sense that, ladies and gentlemen, we have just have done MCQs this last semester for approximately almost 20,000 students, and it went 100% correct. There was no hiccups or anything. So it's really easy. I have done a number of MCQs on the system. It's really, really easy. Just click on the answers, click what you want, just go through it, submit your final submission when you're done and you're sure, and off it goes, and it will give you feedback. So nothing wrong. And then also the assignment is very easy. It's literally like attaching a file to a Microsoft Outlook function as well. But we will also be available to assist in that line. So just there's a few admin arrangements there. I don't know if there's anybody have a question, maybe a comment or something that you would like to share. Please feel free to open your mic, or again write for me in your in the chat box there. If you've got anything, please write to me in the chat box and ask anything that you need. And as I said, send me an email. I will always respond for that. Right, so if there is nothing specifically from anybody at this stage, then I'm going to move on to our section that we want to do for this evening. So the first thing I want to just ask everyone, because obviously you had the first lecture and hopefully that there was something stuck in your mind, maybe about leadership, and you were thinking about leadership. So what I would like us to do, just to give everyone the opportunity to briefly in the chat box, just briefly write me just 1 or 2 sentences about what things have you experienced about leadership in your last week. So it doesn't matter, anywhere where you were or anything that you've done, somewhere you've come across something and thought, wow, this is leadership, or wow, this is not leadership. All right, so I'm just going to give everybody a minute. Just write anything that you have learned this last week about leadership, given what I've shared with you in our first round. So let me just give you a minute. Type for me something there in the chat box, and then we will share with everybody. All 100% there, Russell, no problem. So anything you've learned, maybe you see something significant about leadership, or you see something that it was kind of a clinication, but oh my word, this is definitely not leadership. Please don't mention any names of any people. We don't want to incriminate anybody here in our session. So, just talk in general. But anything you've learned, write a little bit there for me. Something there. If I can ask everybody to just write for me a very short sentence or two, I will really appreciate. Right, let's have a look at some of the comments we are getting. So those who are still writing, please just keep on there. Kelly Bugile, I see you're still writing. Just continue there. See, Ilya say, clear communication in the week was of utmost importance, and we were all on par as a team. Yeah, the Elias have some experience about how communication can improve as leadership and our team. Terence said during an office debate of WhatsApp, which went back and forth until one person said, "Stop, that's enough. We will settle it. Not, I guess, not in this way." I think that person stood up and took a leadership stance. Yes, Terence, my surprised face there. So yeah, sometimes one have to get that kind of thing where a person say, "Well, no, stop, stop. We're not going to get anywhere here. Let's rethink. Let's refocus. Let us look at what we need to achieve and let us work on that." Shalene said, "I've learned that spirituality can also play a role." Yes, absolutely, Shalene, and any different forms. I think the soul of a leader is a very important part. So definitely being spiritual in the context do play a very, very important part. Leaders that give recognition to the staff in every meeting we had, and nothing would be possible without the staff. Absolutely, Dalian. I think you can't underestimate that. Even if people make mistakes, and we all do that, or wasn't sure, and still, let us come and say thank you and great work and so on. Warren went to a meeting and was senior managers. Yep, I've come across that many times. So I put a little sad face there because actually it's quite sad that you still have leaders that believe that they must know more about everything in life. Kind of they must be the expert. They must. And then obviously sometimes they say some things and you're just kind of like, now where do you come from? Um, who dragged you in here? And you kind of like lost credibility because, so yeah, leaders will acknowledge to say, guys, I'm not an expert. I often come and say, well, yeah, whoa, guys, I'm not that clever as all of you academics. Explain to me in more simple language what we are saying. And it's absolutely very true. I think I experienced a leader who asked for feedback and learned from it. Great stuff there, Felicia. Again, the importance of communicating, engaging. Leaders have to make the tough decisions. Absolutely. So sometimes we have a situation where you may listen to a lot of people, you may get a lot of ideas from a lot of people, you may allow people to share and come up, but eventually, in that discussion, there may be some people with different viewpoints, different ideas, different suggestions, but at the end of the day, the leader have to kind of summarize and say, well, I think this is going to be my decision. But what is very important here is that the leader must have the ability to tell, why do I make that decision? All right. Because the moment the leader can explain as to why this is my final decision, because sometimes we as employees may not have the bigger picture or all the elements of the picture, which the leader or the senior manager may have. And then often we will make suggestions based on what we know in our little context of what we're working in. And it's so important because sometimes if they then just tell us this is the reason, then one can come say, oh yes, but I've never thought about that, or yeah, that makes sense. So again, just share with people, I think, what is quite important. Just as I've come to notice that leaders is being firm. Stand your ground, because you can be a leader but still be walk over. Well, yes, absolutely, Justin. They are, and I think one has to be kind of very firm in terms of the principles that we have in life. And you often see leaders will stand very firm on principles, while they will be open about ideas and how we can do things, but so often on the leadership principles. Leadership not a position. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. I love that. Leadership is not a position, ladies and gentlemen. The mere fact that the person get appointed in a senior management position does not assume automatic leadership. So I have learned in my life you can lead from anywhere, in your small environment where you are, in your home, in your house, in your church, in your community, in your family, in your team, in your unit, your division. You can lead because you might have the ability to renew things, do new things, lead people, help people understand, support people, which is all about leadership. And I've learned that leaders are there to help their staff to grow and believe in themselves. Absolutely. Leaders must assist people to actually develop their full potential. One of the main things of leaders is to help people to develop their full potential, to grow and to become more as what they are currently. Challenge them to be greater, challenge them to become more than what they are currently. And that's one of the very, very important abilities of leaders, is actually to challenge people. Thank you, guys. I think that's some great, great, great ideas that that we were sharing here with each other. Let me just bring up my presentation here quickly. Here we go. Can you see my presentation? Can just somebody indicate to me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you very much. So, all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about leadership in African context, in an African context. Now, that's quite interesting name. So one of the things in South Africa is that we have a range of diversity. Now, we're not the only place in the world that have diversity, but and there are many parts in the world where obviously they are not this broad range of diversity as what we see within the context of our particular environment. Okay, I'm not going to ask you to read that because they're not really time to do that. So here it says, now I want to kick off by this to say the task of the leader is to get his people from where they are to where they have not been. So there's a lot, I think, in these few words, but in essence is that organizations grow and develop, societies grow and develop, people grow and develop. So where we are today is not necessarily where we're going to be tomorrow or in the next 10 years. I had another class and I was sharing with the people, they were complaining about, yeah, but it's so hard to study and to learn and things like that. And then they kind of go off on this fourth industrial revolution. And then I said to them, I said, no, hold your horses. I said, wait a second. I said, have you heard about the fifth industrial revolution, the sixth one, the seventh, and the eighth one? And somebody responded, we haven't even mastered the fourth one. I said, yes, I know you didn't master the fourth one, but you have to start preparing for the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And around the eighth industrial revolution, guys, is this, we are going to coexist with robots. Your colleague is going to be a robot. Now, if you think, Henk, you've had the wrong meds this morning. You cannot say something like that. It's all where you're coming from. Guys, in Asia, for example, in some of the banks, the receptionist is a robot, not a human being, a robot. And the benefits of having a robot is that this robot can, if you just upload, if you're going to have a visitor, you pre-upload information to the robot and you tell the robot, well, this is Mr. X, he looks like this and this is your name and everything. And when you enter, the robot will recognize the person and will immediately be able to greet a person on the person's name and the credentials and everything. So listen to me, this is kind of reality already. There are banks in Asia which the receptionist is a robot, and the robot will allow people to go into the bank or not. So this is already happening. In Europe, they are busy designing the inner spaces of their cities, like our CBDs, to be able to have driverless vehicles. So some of the cities in Europe, in the inner cities, in the next 5 or 6, 7 years, the vehicles and everything that will be driven in the inside of the city will not be by human beings. The vehicles there will drive on their own. Literally on their own. They will be controlled from somewhere, from a central point, and you will be able to catch an Uber or a taxi or something, and it will be driverless. There will not be a driver in the taxi. All right. So guys, these are some of the kind of things that is happening in the world. And you can therefore see that if I say to you that we are going to be tomorrow, not we are today, you will start to realize how the importance of leadership and the ability to take people with us into that future where we are heading towards. Right. So I would like to have a little bit of a discussion, all right, about the leadership in a multicultural context. And what I'm interested is to find out that what is the kind of benefits or challenges that we have in terms of leading in a very multicultural organization where we have different people from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different languages, different education levels. And what I would like us to have a bit of a debate, but what is some of these challenges we have? What are some of the benefits? What are some of the drawbacks maybe that you want to share? All right, so I'm just going to exit quickly here and just go back so I can just see your guys there. And to be so, I won't ride in this car. To be so, I guess then it's going to be by foot, ne? Happy walking. All right. So, guys, just unmute your mic and share with me. What do you think is some of the challenges or some of the great things that we have about managing or leadership in this multicultural organizations we have or in this country we have? Share with me. Share with me your thinking, your thoughts. Yeah, not really right and correct answers here, but I'm just curious to hear what you have to say. So just unmute your mic and share with us. Who's going to be first before I nominate? Felicia, did you say they care a little bit? Justin, do you want to share with us?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I would just say maybe some of the benefits would be that you're learning from one another, the cultures, the different languages and so forth. I know it's difficult for us to just learn a language, but adapting to how people bring over the culture to the work environment. So the benefits, I would say, you're learning from each other. You also then need to adapt and be able to understand those cultures that different people has. That is just my thought on it.
Thanks, Justin. I think that's quite a interesting thing is that Justin see that working in a multicultural is a learning opportunity. I can learn about other people, how they think, how they do, how they respond, and how they act. Oh, great stuff. All right, somebody else. Just open a mic there. Share with me your thinking, your thoughts. Felicia, you care to share there with us?
Yes, I was just about to open my mic. So yes, I
All
agree
right.
with Justin. I think it's very important in the workplace to understand each other and share openly, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to hear where the other person is coming from. And in my experience, we've had staff on morning sessions sharing about their culture so that you can understand why this person is doing things, what is the reason behind it. And it becomes extremely interesting when the debate starts. Where you have a cultural morning so that each one can share why I do this, why we do that. And it's important for us in our daily engagements, both at work and in your just your normal surroundings, to have that understanding. It also brings unity within a team, because then you have that understanding, and you don't judge because a person perhaps just does things a different way.
Great stuff. Nice, Dave. Thank you, Felicia. I think that's quite important is that and what we may realize that is actually the value that might be locked up in our diversity. All right. And that we actually have other people there that may be brilliant in certain things in which some other people may not be. Because I always believe that in any team, everybody has something to contribute. But if we don't engage and talk about it, then we never will know. And keep in mind that some people is more talkative and other people are a little bit more introverts. They don't talk. They more kind of observe and listen. All right. But it's always sometimes good to have listeners as well. Thank you, Felicia. Barend.
Hoekom pik jy altyd op my?
Barend, I also would like to hear your opinion. I've got some other people I'm also going to pick on tonight.
I hope so. It's because my surname is Barnard and it's right at the top, nah. I had
No,
that problem at school as well. You see,
you're
that
appearing on my
precon,
second,
so
my
that
second
comes,
round in the middle, yeah.
that it falls under that preconceived ideas. You're top of the alphabet, nah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think what Felicia and Justin said is true, but that's a road traveled both ways as well. It's not just management that needs to adapt. Everybody needs to adapt. And I think that's the trap we always fall in, because you as a manager can adapt only so much, but you need to lead as well. And they also need to adapt to your management style. Whether it's good or bad, that's debatable, if you understand what I'm saying.
I am with you.
But back to my first sort of joke is, we all come into a discussion with preconceived ideas, putting people in a box, already deciding who or what they are even before they open their mouths. And I think that's the thing we need to stop. Stop thinking because he's black, he's brown, he's yellow, he's pink, he's whatever. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that because I'm Afrikaans, I like rugby, because I hate rugby. It's just something as simple as that. People have that preconceived idea, I like to braai and watch rugby. I don't even like that. But that's the stereotyping thing that usually takes place. And we should just get past that.
Yeah.
And we will be beautifully running along smoothly.
Barend, I agree. I think because obviously we engage with people from different cultures, different backgrounds, we kind of like start forming perceptions about these people, and we then expect that all of them will behave in that way. This is the way they do things. And yes, there might be some truth in it, that there's a lot of like Afrikaans white men that do like rugby, and women. But you'll be surprised to know how many colored people and even how black people do like, for example, rugby as well. How many white Afrikaans people like soccer, for example, all right, and other sports. But I think, yes, although there might be some characteristics that comes with maybe certain cultures, we have to be very careful not to generalize that. And that is the way that everybody behaves in that way. Thanks, Barend, for sharing. Charlene, let me hear there from your side a bit. What do you say?
I had a feeling I'm next.
It's the alphabet thing again.
Yeah, according to your surname, yes, you're kind of first, yeah, but your name, you're last.
Well, I agree with all my colleagues. I do think that having a multicultural group of leaders comes with different views, different beliefs, different personalities. And I don't know if I'm wrong if I'm going to say this, maybe it can also somehow like decrease, like abuse of power, because now you've got different people with different views, and it might not be that easy to abuse your power if you're standing in a leadership position. I don't know. It's just my thinking. Yeah.
Interesting point there, Charlene. Interesting point there. I think you definitely make me thinking a little bit about if we have kind of a multicultural environment with various people from, to what extent the kind of power and how that will place out into things. All right. Very interesting there. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you for sharing. So I think, guys, we kind of generally feel and think that obviously kind of like have been working in a multicultural environment and could be beneficial to what we are doing, and we are sharing, and by understanding and utilizing the differences to our benefits. But I would like to just share with you one or two things in terms of making our multiculturalism. I want to make a business case of that. I want to make it something about how do we serve our clients? How do we delight our clients? How do we provide brilliant, excellent client service, for example, right, through our multicultural? Okay, and here is absolute astonishing example, ladies and gentlemen, and this was taking me back, this is one of those things you do remember. And that happened actually quite a while back, I think about 12 years ago, when I was flying with Emirates. I was on my way to Europe. And so we took a flight over Dubai, and then from there to France. And I still remember today, and this was so amazing. So we got onto this aeroplane, and as I noticed on this, when we got on the plane, I've noticed there are people from various backgrounds and various cultures, and I could just see a huge amount of diversity that's in this plane, because obviously there was connecting flights, people flying into Johannesburg, getting to connected flight on Emirates. Now we're going as there, and I can just hear all different languages. And it's like, okay, wow, okay, well, this is nice. We're on this brilliant flight. And then the main steward there, or person that is in charge there, or what they call a cabin controller, I think that's the right name they use there. She makes the announcement. She say, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome here. We just want to share with you that tonight it is our privilege that we will be able to serve our passengers this evening in the following languages: French, Italian, Afrikaans, English, Zulu, Xhosa, and then she rambled a few on. And I sit back and I say, well, let me look at some of the other people working on this plane. And then I've realized that somewhere Emirates kind of like look at, when you book, what the kind of language and things. And then they select the crew that can speak most of those languages that is going to be on the plane. Because we know how nice is it that somebody can serve you in your own language, né? All right. Specifically when you have a trouble, you don't understand the thing. Because obviously, I was on many flights, then you can see these people coming from Brazil, for example, or they're coming from France. They can only speak French. They don't know English, and how they struggle to get. I still remember when I was I went to Toulouse in France, and I was on the train. And as we went on the train, we didn't know there was a strike, and we had to get off the train, another one. And if it wasn't for another South African people that was on that understand the language of France, I would have probably still tried to find my way around France, because I would have been on the wrong train, or I would just got stuck there. And luckily, they heard us and they helped us. So one can just realize how powerful it is sometimes if we can help and serve our clients. And if a client comes into, for example, the bank, and for example, but this person struggles with English, or this person does not, but you have a colleague that, or yourself can speak Zulu or Xhosa, or you just call a colleague and say, please just help quickly here. Wow, brilliant customer service. This is what makes the difference in terms of delighting our customers, if we can do that. I think we get so used to that. Most of the people we engage kind of thing is like, we can speak English, we can speak maybe another language, and and most people can. But remember, it's not just the only clients. It's not just the only people you're serving. So always just keep that in mind. I think that was also very powerful for me. All right, so diversity is not really a bad thing. It can actually help us in creating and establishing some great organizations. And what's important is that we really need to look in our multicultural context about the strengths of people. Now, I have a little bit more difficult question. Now, we all know that most organizations have a culture. So remember, culture is a specific way of doing things. And culture manifests itself through rituals, symbols, your language, your religion maybe. Now, we all know that organizations forms a certain culture, certain way of thinking, right? Now, what I would like to know is, how do we get these two things together? How do we get the fact we're working in a multicultural environment where there are people coming from different backgrounds with different practices, maybe different religions, maybe different um, uh, beliefs about things. But here we come in an organization say, but we also have a culture. In ABSA, this is the ABSA way. At Stadio, this is the Stadio way. Right. Now, what I would like to know is, how do you match these two things? How do you match these two things? And I would like to give everyone a minute or two to write for me something there in the chat box. How do you think do we match these two things here? How do we get them so that they don't clash with each other? Because on the one hand, we say, let's embrace our multiculturalism. Let us focus on the strengths of that. Let's think stay. But here on the other side is the own culture of the organization, you know. So how does these two things work together? Give me some ideas. Use the chat box there. I want each one of you to respond to me a little bit on that. Let's give you a minute. All right, some people still writing there. Let me give you another 30 seconds or so.
Can I say something? Because for me, I'm two minds about this, you know.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking that, you know, at some point maybe we might want to incorporate the different cultures, but at the same time I'm thinking also that, you know, the vision and mission statement of a company will attract the relevant people that will come in and embrace the culture of that organization. So obviously it will depend on the company's culture, which the employees might be attracted to. Obviously, then it would make sure that we onboard the right talent that are in line with our values, our culture as an organization.
Yes, I think you're making a lot of sense here, in the sense that, yes, obviously a organization set a particular culture in the way that we're doing things and so on. And we as organization might actually look at people that can fit within that culture. Not that we do acknowledge that there will be differences in terms of certain things, the way people do things. So, for example, if we acknowledge that doesn't matter, this is the culture of our organization, and one of the culture of organization is to respect differences. Part of the culture is maybe to respect also different beliefs.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if you are a Christian or Hindu, Muslim, doesn't matter. We say that those kind of things are, all those religions are more than welcome within my organization. All right.
Yes.
So I think I'm 100% with you. I think it makes a lot of sense in terms of what you're sharing, that even though we may have a culture, it does not necessarily means that our organizational culture, and we hope not that the culture will infringe directly on the way and the beliefs of other people. And that necessarily there will be a huge clash. So typically come and say, but you know what, an organization, we must be Christians, and if you don't read the Bible, you cannot actually work here. Now, the question I will normally ask is, what have that to do with your business and the success of your business? And I'm not negating the fact that we may not believe in success and we may not pray for success, doesn't matter our religion. But in essence, okay, unless you are the church.
Yeah, it
Is that
depends
your
on the
organization?
organization. Yeah.
Then we kind of like, we cater for people that believe in the Muslim faith or in the Hindu faith or in the Christian faith. And that is what we practice here. And if you're comfortable, you can come here and come in here. So, but we are, in a bank, we're in education, we educate people. Obviously, what's quite important is that how we educate people and what we educate people, because that man. But if we stick to science and you stick in your bank to good products, and I know in a bank often that I know that there are many banks cater for people with different religions in terms of how savings works and lending and those kind of things, because they beliefs they have. That's brilliant. Okay. So that opens also then for people with that belief that actually there are products in the organization that cater for specific groupings of people, which is 100%. Because remember, you are there to cater for a market, and if there's a meaningful market, we need to look at that market and serve that market, because they are also in need of the services that we offer. 100%, Tom. Thank you, Dave. Really, I think there's some great ideas that you've put forward there. Let's see what the others say. Baron say, find a common denominator. All right. Baron, sounds like a short way out of this question, eh?
No, it's actually a very straightforward one.
Okay.
Remember the assignment says keep it brief. I'm keeping it brief.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, but remember, we always focus on the negatives instead of finding what we all have in common. Problem.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. So once we start focusing on that, we might find that we actually have, as human beings, we have more in common that differentiate us. All right. And the fact that you might be from a different religion doesn't mean that I cannot engage with you, I cannot talk to you, I cannot discuss things with you. And the fact of the matter that maybe you practice your faith in a different way than I do practice that, does not mean that makes me less of a human being. It does not mean that I might be not an honest person, a person of integrity, and those sort of things. So yeah, let's find those things that bound us, that makes us. Understand the vision. Elias say, yes, Elias, I think it links quite a lot what Barn is saying, as well as what Kelly Bogeli is saying. What is the vision and mission? What does that organization want to achieve? And that becomes then part of the culture. And ladies and gentlemen, there might be people that may not always support your organization culture, and there may be many reasons. Not necessarily like personal kind of thing. There might be many reasons why people say, well, I'm not really supporting this culture. people might come and say, well, you know what? I don't want to work for a profit organization because I don't really believe in profits. Profit sounds capitalism. Sounds like you want to exploit people. You know, you're just using people. You're taking my money. You know, we must work more in a society where we share everything equal. You know, and therefore I rather go and work in an NGO. You know, where there's just no profits and things like that. And you may get that kind of differences. And they may be sometimes linked to religion or beliefs or the way I've grown up. And then we must be quite honest and say, well, you know, you might not really fit in the culture that we are doing here because we cannot cater for everybody. All right. And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, that leadership is not about trying to keep everybody happy. That is not what leadership is. Okay. I always say, if you want to keep everybody happy at all time, then you rather must go and sell ice cream. Then you must not be a leader. Because it's impossible to keep everybody happy. But what we can do is we can explain the reason for our decisions, coming back to our previous conversation. And that may then give people a comfort that this person has to think about and provide me some argument why, and I can accept part of that. I may not have to accept everything. So leadership cannot keep everybody. And don't try to do that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to work. I promise you, you will bend backwards, forwards, sideways until you cannot bend anymore, and then there will still be people that's unhappy. Jordan said the organization need to be transparent, but also open in what they require for the culture, and then everyone an equal opportunity to bring their bit and share their views to align. You know, Jordan, I think I agree, because sometimes we may think that the difference between organization culture and other cultures are so different that it's almost something that's not compatible. You know, we can't get this thing together, and that's not true. When we start analyzing, we actually might find, and this is what Barton was saying there and a couple of other people, we actually might find that there are more similarities than differences. Because there are many similarities in human beings, irrespective of where you come from. And we often have to look at those kind of similarities. And many of us human beings, we would like to maybe have at least a decent job and earn a decent living. We don't want to do crime. We don't want to do that. I believe there is good in everybody. And we just want to have a space in this world where we can also live and let live. Right. So we don't always have to look at the differences and try to put them on the big bell, you know, and as find that's an excuse why we cannot work together, as rather than finding similarities in why we can work together. Understanding different cultural values, we need to understand the behavior. But no, I agree with you. So in this process, so we in study have just gone through the process and determining what's our values in terms of what creating our culture. And this is a culture of honesty, culture of openness, culture of integrity. And those are the things that's fundamentally, and then excellent service. Those are the things that's fundamentally to the heart of organization. And I think that most human beings can associate with that. It does not matter what my faith I practice, or whatever rituals I have. The fact that I might go now after the session and burn a few things outside, you know, to practice some of my my religion or my culture. I still believe that intrinsically to human beings is the question of, we want to be transparent, we open, we would like to be honest, we like to be that, and that is part of who we are. Okay. And I think that's not too much to be asked. Right. The fact that people becomes corrupt and all those kind of things, there are reasons behind that. But I still believe that most people are good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is still what gives me the hope for our country. Okay. Irrespective of what we see and read in the newspapers. And let us not go too much in that detail. There's some interesting things happening. Being transparent, open to allow everyone to balance without compromising. Accommodate different behaviors, history, culture, characters. Yes, acknowledge, respect for that. Respect. And as long as your culture does not infringe on any of my rights, and as long as my culture does not infringe on your rights, and as long as I don't force you that you must come and practice what I believe in. You must come and do. Then we're stepping on very dangerous ground. And then Lavashi say, understand the mission and the vision of organization and form an organizational culture that will achieve the vision and mission. Teach or assist the people of the organization and new joiners to achieve the mission. So, Vishnu, you're absolutely correct here, sharing with the other. Let's create that, because I think it's easy to tell people that this is what we stand for. Okay. Like we share in study, we stand for opening access for students, people to come and study. We stand for client service. And I can ask most people, can you do those kind of things? Can you learn people to do those kind of things? Doesn't matter where I come from. Doesn't matter my background, my culture. And I believe we can. Can I serve my students? As Christo always would have liked to say, servant leadership, name. Can I serve my clients? And I think most people, yes. Some people will serve automatically. That's just part of who they are, maybe the way they're grown up. And other people, we can learn how to properly serve and appropriate your clients. It doesn't matter where you come from, your religion, whatever you believe in. I believe that we can be taught the abilities to serve, because that's fundamentally to our businesses. As we have clients, we need to keep them happy. It's not always they're right, ne? Please don't tell me that thing. I don't agree with that. Clients are always sometimes wrong, but it's the way that you deal with it when you know the client is wrong. It's not to try to tell the client you're wrong and how wrong you are, but rather to then communicate, engage, talk, and help and assist the client to understand what it is that we are busy doing. And that is what's becoming for us quite important in this journey. All right. So there's a nice, interesting discussion on multicultural context. And then we move to another very important, and that's the self-leadership and leadership. Okay. I just want to quickly see here. All right, there's leadership's name. Self-leadership, self-leadership. So what do we understand as the question of self-development as a leader or self-leadership? What are we talking about here? What is the context of the so-called self-leadership? Let us bust there for a minute or two. Tell me a little bit about what do you believe is the question of self-leadership? Let's see a little bit there from, who can I ask next? Darlene? What do you believe is the concept of self-leadership? Darlene, you're still there? Maybe Marinda, can I ask you maybe there? Maybe you can share with us as the concept of self-leadership. What do you think it is? What is your understanding of the concept of self-leadership?
For me, it's to living to your potential and also helping others to get to their highest potential and get the best out of them. That is what I think it is. And it's also the strategies that you have within your environment and with your colleagues. So that is what it's all the actions.
That little bit about knowing yourself, where you're heading, what you are doing, how you support other people. Very, very critical.
To get a higher performance.
Oh, yes,
from everybody.
Yes. I like the fact that you link that to the performance, you know, improving what we are doing, you know, looking at better ways of doing things. Name.
Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. Tabiso, share with us a little bit about self-leadership. What do you think is that? It seems like a few of our colleagues, you know, because what I've experienced of online is sometimes they go online and then they run away and they go and wash the dishes, you know. Maybe Tabiso, your wife, have called you out. So you maybe shame Tabiso is busy washing the dishes there, guys. We have to think about him. Maybe he's demonstrating to his wife servant leadership, ne? All right. Sharon, share with us a little bit. What do you think is self-leadership?
For me, I think it's understanding your own personality and developing your own skills so that you can achieve your goals and become a stronger leader in your own personal capacity, so that if you are a leader to others, that you are able to lead your team as well. Yeah, that's basically it.
I think thank you for sharing that. I think, Sharon, you quite hit it there on the spot. And I think in the first class last week, I think we've shared a little bit on this whole thing about first learn to lead yourself before you try to lead other people. And part of that is to set some goals in your life, okay? And to, I just want to quickly say is here, Elias say, discipline, doing things without being monitored and managed. Wow, okay, Elias, that's powerful words there, ne? And Vashni said, lead and trust in yourself before you lead others, ne? Expect to put a trust in you. Absolutely, absolutely, Vashni. You know, a lot of people say, yeah, but, you know, you need to trust me because I'm in this position, you know, or you need to respect me because I said, no. I think you understand totally this exercise wrongly. Trust and respect is earned. I am not going to respect or just trust you because you have been appointed in the position in an organization, or you just because you're that or that or that or that. And that include the minister at church, the president, whoever you want to call. I'm not just going to trust you. I'm not just going to blindly follow you. It ain't going to work that way. We're living in the 20th century, the 21st century, ladies and gentlemen. You need to earn that trust. And I think that becomes quite important. But what is important is what we have shared. If I can just recap maybe last week, what we've shared is the ability for you as an individual person to set goals for yourself in life, set what you want to accomplish. And this don't have to be enormous big things. I believe that each one of you have put a goal, an objective to achieve this qualification. And that's why you are here tonight. That's why you are waiting until 5 o'clock, and maybe you could have now been with friends and have a cocktail while the sun is setting, but you've made a choice. To accomplish this qualification is an important part, an important puzzle on my way of my development of becoming what I would like to become. And therefore you are willing to sacrifice certain other things. And this is the kind of things then what I admire you for. And that is my goal. Like I said last time, my goal, I've got my personal goals, but for me, my goal engaging with you guys is to see that you successfully complete this qualification. And I will do everything in my power to help you to achieve that, provided you bring your side as well. This is a kind of 100% agreement, not 50-50. You know what you need to do in terms of your 100%. I know what I need to do. In my personal life, I have goals. I know how important it is to set those goals and what I want to achieve. I recently had a long conversation with our CEO. Because of my position organization, I had the privilege to speak to the CEO quite often. He was there on a roadshow, and he've asked me, Henk, where do you want to be in an organization? What do you want to achieve? What is your goals? Where you want to be? And I said, I think this and this and this and this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to achieve. And he sent me a WhatsApp later today and said, I'm talking to the people, and we see, all right, no, it's in a bank, you will be able to talk to the CEO like that. We don't have a big organization, but at least if you have goals and you have objectives, and somebody in an organization come to you and say to you, Navashni, what do you want to achieve in life? Then at least you'll come and say, man, thank you for this opportunity. Can I share with you some of my dreams? Can I share with you? and let's see if that fits in the organization. Let's see if we can accommodate you. Too often, employees and organizations leave their development, their growth, their future to the organization. You know, we kind of like career development is something the organization do to you. And if any one of you tonight think that that is the way, then I'm going to be very sorry if I burst your bubble tonight. Yes, the organization will create opportunities. The organization will create possibilities. And it's not to say that all that opportunity possibilities will suit you. You also need to ask yourself, but where do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? Where do I, because that is about self-leadership. Because if you do not work out a plan for your own life, somebody else is going to work out a plan for you. And then one day you're going to end up and say, how did I end up here? Well, I'm not really happy where I am currently. This doesn't look very good. I'm feeling like I'm here in the wrong place. I'm feeling very uncomfortable. But you have allowed a system, an organization, a universe to push you in a direction because you didn't have any own direction. And I want to encourage each one of you tonight, guys, besides your goals that you set down for achieving maybe your academics, what is your goals in your career? Where do you heading? What do you think you want to achieve? In your personal life, in your working life, in your personal life in terms of your family, your marriage, your relationships, your colleagues, your friends. If you don't have an idea of what you want to achieve there, then you are going to be like the waves on the sea, you know, just toss and turn and see where we go, you know, see where we eventually the sea just drop us out and what beach we will land. And then we'll say, all right, let's make something of this. And I hope that tonight, in terms of self-leadership, that each one of us can sit down and say, I need to create direction. I am not going to just allow a universe or somebody else or an organization, for that sake, any organization, to determine my destiny, my final end destiny. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 20, 30 years ago, this was the thinking, is that, you know, you join an organization, you're going to live there. And I must just tell you this, I had a recent conversation with my mom. She have turned 80 this year. And my brother's one son, he is involved in transport business. And I've kind of had the opportunity, still young, he's completed his BA qualification with us. Still young, kind of working out his own life. But he's got a great opportunity for entrepreneurship. And he's doing quite well. No, he's not doing, he can do much better. So I had a conversation with my mom, and my mom the other day said she's very worried about him. She don't think he is going anywhere. He needs to get a good permanent job somewhere, you know. And I ask her, what kind of job? Maybe he must go work for the bank or for government or something like that. And, you know, I was kind of like taken back, I think, a bit about what she said with me, but also just realizing in the era that she have grown up, all right, and that she still believed, like in the old day, you know, you must work for a very solid company because you're going to start there, you're going to end your career there. And some of us, that is here tonight, that is in that case, that some of us tonight, you know, we have spent 30 years, 35 years, maybe in the banking industry. And this is where we're going to end our career. And for those of us that is moving into there, I need to start to encourage you to start thinking about what it is you're going to do after you finish your career in the bank. Because this is only going to take you so far. So what are you going to do with the rest of the half of your other life? Given the fact that our life expectancy is coming, it's growing, it's, you know, our life expectancy is longer. And we know that many of us, when we come to retirement age of 55, 60, even 65, given the fact that in some parts of the world, retirement age is already 70. If you go to places like Greece, and I think also in some countries in Europe, retirement age is 70, because they acknowledge that our life expectancy is getting longer. So if we're going to retire at 50 or 60, my question to you is, what is your goals and what you want to achieve after you've done that? Especially if you spend the whole of your career at one particular industry. And often people then realize, but I don't have an idea of what I'm going to do. And that might create some problems in terms of how you're going to lead yourself the day then when you are going to resign and you're not there or retire. What am I going to do? The shock might be quite big. All right. Okay. So guys, give me a little bit of input. Share me your thinking, your thoughts of what I've just shared with you. Come, anybody, raise your hand and open your mic and talk to me. Tell me, Henk, you don't know what you're talking about. This is kind of like a story you read in fantasy books. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, this makes sense. Come, share with me, guys. Okay. I'm not going to nominate anybody. But if nobody responds, then I ain't going to nominate, né? And Barnes already kind of shaking there because he think I might call his name again.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Oh, there's a person here. I think is it Jerenice? Is that how you call your name? Jerenice, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
It's Jerenice.
Jerenice, nee. So what do you have to say about my little story that I've shared with you?
Okay, I missed the story, I won't lie. I was actually in the loo, I just came back now.
Jerenice, where did you went?
Now I went to the bathroom. I
Okay.
needed to take a body break.
All right. I was speaking my heart out, and now Jerenice didn't listen to what I was saying. It's going to take me a while to
I'll
recover.
catch the recording.
Great stuff. Okay, I appreciate that. Great stuff. All right, let's hear there from Felicia. You have said, but let me hear from your side. I like your inputs there.
I think I'm having a good old laugh about the story with your mother and your yeah. I think that's we often, and so many people today still think that if you have that permanent job, you're set for life. So I had a little bit of a giggle, but yes, I totally agree with you. Self-leadership is also awareness of your strengths and weaknesses, and how you're going to use that to influence other people from my side. But setting goals and yes, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But I think at the end, when you achieve it, that makes all the difference. And us who are in leadership often, just by sharing your story with people at work or others just around you, to inspire them, to think about their life at maybe a very early age, where we possibly didn't have that growing up in a different age. And taking the opportunities that is available. There's so much available at the moment, but sometimes you just need to, as a person, edge the next person, but not forget yourself in the whole process. And yes, like you said, what do we do after retirement? And I engage with people daily that have retired, and they just seem to have lost their little spark until they find something again. So it's very good food for thought.
Great, Felicia. I think you're sharing that. I think you're absolutely correct. Sometimes you see people retiring, you say they lost their spark because they, when they're working, they had some meaning. They would feel that they were useful for something. And then you retire and there is nothing like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when people really start their questioning. So if you don't really work about setting something for yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, to be quite honest with all of you, I know that the study of retirement is 65, but I am not going to retire at 65. That is my goal. If I have the privilege to live that long, I am not going to retire at 65. That's not even in my mind. I don't understand the concept of retirement, to be quite honest with you guys. So now I need to think about what do I need to do. And one of the things for me was then to set my goal to get my PhD, because once I get that, I open another world of opportunities for me, which I can work freelance. And there are lots of opportunities, specifically in the field for me, about being a supervisor for master's and doctoral students right through the whole world. Okay. But I have to sacrifice something there. And many people say, wow, okay, well, you're going to do a PhD, all right, that's quite an uphill battle. I said, oh, no, I know, because a goal cannot be easy. If you want to really achieve something in your life, the goal cannot be easy. It cannot be just a little walk in the park with the doggy and then we say, oh, I've achieved something. It must be some difficult, because then when you conquer it, it makes sense. It makes sense. It is meaningful to you and say, wow, I have achieved that. I've stretched myself. And for me to stretch, I was not the most clever scholar at school. I wasn't first on the letters there with the A's and the B's. I was rather down here on the C's and the D's, maybe. But I have always had a father that says that, and this is his leadership and his legacy that he have left. It says, and he's not with us anymore for very long. And he said, but decide what you're going to do, set your mind on that and go for that. And the one thing you necessarily need to do, and this is very important as a leader, when you choose your goals, guys, is make sure that you achieve it. Doesn't matter how long you take. If any one of you fail one of the subjects in this, you're not going to stop there. You're going to use the second opportunity that we're going to provide to you. You have to make that commitment to yourself that I will complete that, because that is fundamental to self-leadership. Is determination. Doesn't matter how bad it's going to go, that you still will achieve what you've set out to do. And I really would like to encourage each of you to do that. And then to look at what's next after that, and to set your goals and what you want to achieve. And remember, this must be your journey. All right. Don't take my journey, or don't follow Felicia's journey or Baron's journey. They've got their own journey. And I hope that each of you really are working towards something that you still believe, that something you want to do, even when you retire, and something you dream about. And it's my wish that the day that you do retire, for those who retirement is maybe near, and for those who retirement is not near, that we can follow some of the examples of some of the people that have really got this dream you want to achieve. And the day you step out, I want to give you all my blessings that you really make a success of that you want to do. The day when you're done, you still can do. In Finland and in Sweden, ladies and gentlemen, they have a most amazing program where they take people that's 60, 70, 80 years old. And they have many historical places. So museums and things like that, like we have in South Africa and around the world. So do you think they appoint young people to work in the museum? All right. Say it's a historic museum about historic events that have happened like 50 years ago. No, they don't appoint young people there to run around and manage. No, they appoint people that 70, 80 years that were part of that historical event. They were there. They have lived that event. They appoint those people, guys. And the stories that comes from that, how people go to that museums, and where then these people sit down and people sit around them and they tell them the actual story. Not a story that I've read from a book. Because I'm the tour guide, I've read in a book, it says like that. No, I've lived that. And that they share the story of what they have lived with that people. And ladies and gentlemen, they had the successes of something like that is just totally amazing. It is so great. And I just think for a minute, because I was doing training at Freedom Park on Tuesday. I had a few people there, few senior people there, and I was just thinking about, because I have been to Freedom Park and go to museum, and I just think about the people working there, and it's all kind of young people and things like that. And when I ask them questions, they give me a textbook answer, and I kind of like, but I can also read this. You know what? Bring me the person that was actually there. I want to hear that story. I want to hear that authentic story. And I think if we just look at this and the amazing opportunities that one can actually create for older people in our country, and how meaningful that will be, because so many of our older people have got such amazing stories, and sometimes we just need to give them opportunity to tell us that story and to share. And often we don't. And I think I'm guilty often. You know, I don't have time to listen to your old stories. But we can put them in places. And for them, it's a meaningful work. For them, it's an income. For them, it's to still have some respect and to have a good life, as opposed to just sit somewhere and do nothing. Just think about that, guys. Think about the amazing story of leadership. Right. Anybody else that want to have a go there, please share with us. We still have a few minutes today. I'm going to stop today at self-leadership. We did talk about some of the other things coming, but in our final verdict, we're just going to talk about some characteristics of leadership and different forms of leadership, and then also a little bit about ethics. And we're going to conclude then our getting together, the last part on ethical leadership. So our last session will all be about different types of leadership, from transformational to ethics to charismatic, and we're going to share a little bit on that. All right, so some last thoughts on the self-leadership concept. Share with us.
Elias here, and so
Elias, please, yes.
I was thinking about what you were saying now. So sometimes the younger we are, you know, the more guts we have to explore, you know, try different, careers and stuff like that. But you said something very interesting about discipline. No matter in what you embark in, sacrifice. No matter what you embark in, you're always going to have to sacrifice on something. And I think we also, we are not, we also lost time, in the sense that the world is changing. And in actual effect, we should also be, adapting as well to the changes in the whole world, where we still need to have the mindset that we do not know. And if you don't know, then you are always going to want to learn more and more and more. And by learning more and more and more, you are opening yourself to a lot of opportunities, and also the thinking that, when we get old, retirement and stuff like that, that could have been relevant then. But in this Asian era, so we always have to look at those opportunities that we can create ourselves, maybe to keep ourselves young. Who knows?
I like that, Elias. Keeping yourself young, eh? And guys, I just want to share with this, and please, I'm definitely not the perfect person at all. I've got all my own mistakes and things like that. But one of the things that Elias was mentioning there, which is quite important for me, and that is part of, like, and because I study psychology, obviously, all of us as humans, and all of you that sits here tonight, you have what you call your inner child. And often we kind of like nurturing the adult part. We have to be adult, responsible adults. And responsible adults, they kind of, you don't make mistakes, you follow the rules, it's kind of serious. But all of us as humans have an inner child. And often we need to feed the inner child. Okay. And the inner child is the one that's the adventurous, the inner child is the one that wants to explore, like Elias, like exactly like you've said. And your inner child do not die when you grow older, guys. All right? It do not. If it die, you let it die. It doesn't go a natural death. So you can be 50, 60, 70, and you can still have the inner child. So one of the things that I've always done in my life as part of self-development is to each year do something which I've never done before. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Some things can cost a lot of money, but it doesn't have to. So I always, every year, go and do something that I haven't done before. That could include visit a place which I've never done before. So many of us are kind of used to, you know, we do holiday at this place. We go only restaurant at this place. You go only like that. You only do that. You got so that the inner child that explore and want to find out, you've lost that totally. And I want to encourage each one of you tonight is to go again and explore your inner child. Go and do something different. If you go on holiday, doesn't matter where you go and find something there that you have never done before. Maybe bungee jumping. I don't know if you have the guts or something like that. Or zip line, for example. Or quad biking, for example. Go and ride on a camel or something. And if you've never done a horse, go and ride on a horse. Maybe you're going to fall off. Well, that's also a nice experience. I hope you're not breaking anything, but go and do something you've never done before. And if you're on a family and you've got your kids and everything, is like, let's get everybody joining in and doing that. I remember 2 years ago and things like that. The whole family were together for holiday down in Cape Town, and the one thing I've decided to do is that I'm going to take all the kids from everybody, from the whole family that's there, me, my brother. And I said to them, all right, so this year, you're not getting any Christmas presents from me. We don't actually kind of believe Christmas presents, but I'm going to give all of you something, which is going to be your Christmas present and your birthday present and any other presents, okay? And so they were very curious about what is this going to be. And so eventually when we got down there, I said, are you ready for the day? I said, already booked there in Grabouw. There's what they call a zip line. We're all going to do zip lines. So nevertheless to say, some of them were kind of like in shock and terrified. And I said, well, it's been booked. We need to go. All right. So up we go, and there we go. And I remember some of them were kind of scary, but they have brilliant guys that help and assist you. And I remember my brother's daughter specifically, she was kind of terrified to do it. And what happened was the person that the guide that's there first then do like a tandem zip and go with her. And so for the first one, the second one, the third one, he did it. So she gained a bit of confidence. And then on the fourth one, he decided, all right, he's kind of in the back of her. We're going to go tandem. And then he kind of like lets it loose, and there she goes. And she'd come to the other side, and she realized the guy's not in the back of her, right? But the victoriousness, the absolute, like, she jumped on that platform and she starts screaming, I've achieved this. All right. And the rest of the 6 that you've gone down, she've done it on her own. So guys, those are the kind of experiences. All right. And I gave them a once in a life kind of experience. I had to save for that, by the way. You know, I cannot just pay that out of my small my small pocket. And I've decided I'll save to go and treat them, because I really would like them to have that kind of experience. Until today, when we get together, everybody shared that experience. And this is what makes life meaningful. This is what makes life different. This is where we have helped people to expand their boundaries and to help them to keep the things that hold them back, to break through some of those things, because we all have things that keeps us back. And probably the most important thing that I would like to share with you guys, as a last thought for tonight, is the biggest thing for us to go and explore and to find new is that we are afraid we're going to fail. That's the biggest fear of humans, is I'm going to fail. And if I fail, what is other people going to say about me? And ladies and gentlemen, if you start talking to people, you would hear so many people say to you, and they will give you all other excuses why they never did this, why I never did that. But ladies and gentlemen, fundamental, if they really start to be honest, they will tell you, I was afraid of doing that because I wasn't sure I will be able to accomplish that. And what will people then say about me? Another failure? Yes, we could have told you before the time you would not make it. And fear holds us back to become the leaders that we can be, to become the individuals that we can be. And I would really like for each of you to really go over this festive season and really have a bit of introspection about what it is I want to achieve. What am I afraid of in life? Because once you identified your fears, You can always then go and speak to people and share with people. And that's why I've got a mentor in my life, is to go and speak to the mentor and say, I think this is my biggest fear, and have a person or individual that you trust to help you to get over that fears. So I want to encourage each one of you during the festive season, guys, as while you have your holiday and you're enjoying yourself, and some of you going away and some may not, because some of you might need to work, because the banks is still open during the time. We in education, we always privileged. Around the 16th, we close down and nothing happens until the next year, the end of January. But because of APSA, I need to then start early next year as well, but that's fine. I have committed to our journey. And I want you to just go and think a little bit about what it is you want to achieve and what is your biggest fears that may hold you back to actually achieve that in life. So when we come back next year, I'm going to start and ask you a bit about that. And I would like you to share for me a little bit about that journey and something that you've experienced about yourself. And also, may I encourage to go and do something you've never done before during this holiday. And just go and have a look and just come and share with us when we come back. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you all the best for your class test. It's not a difficult one, easy. All the best for the assignments that's coming up. And then we will clock in with each other the next year. I already set up this year all our meetings and everything, and share with you information about the exams as well. Getting the next module ready, send your books out this year so that by next year, when we get back, you have all the other things and all the dates and all the time scheduled for the remaining of the 2 subjects that we need to do. And then we also keep in mind that once your assignment has been uploaded, been marked, we'll give you a feedback tutorial letter. Remember also, just before the exams and our last final session we'll do next year, so online, we will give you some guidelines for the exam. We will also apply those guidelines on Canvas so that you have some guidelines and things and how, but I also will share with you a little bit how to approach the exam, what you can expect, what you cannot expect, what can happen, not happen. So just to make sure we properly prepare you for that particular exam. All right, any last thoughts from anybody? Any last thoughts? All right, great. Okay, so from my side, guys, thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking part in our discussions. Even though I may have to call out sometimes names, but then thank you for participating. I do appreciate that. And I really would like to wish that for those who's going to go on holiday and things, that you have a well rest. And yeah, I'm not going to say now already Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I will send you a message later in a year to just say that to you. But if you're going to go away for this festive season, guys, please travel safe and make sure that you stay safe. So I'm going to sign off this evening by just saying blessings to all of you, and hope your remainder of your year will be a good one. And I know that we're all tired, but I hope you all just get a bit of energy for that last bit that we need to push through. And if you are encountering any challenge of your studies, ladies and gentlemen, you've got my email address. You just drop me an email. If you have any challenges, please drop me an email, talk to me. Because if you don't talk to me, I will not know. If you talk to me, we can make a plan. We can work out something. And that's part of my role, is to really look and supporting you guys so that you are successful in the qualification. So guys, on that note, thank you very much. I'll talk to you again next year. Thank you, dear Elias, and thank you, Felicia. I appreciate it. Miranda, thank you as well. I'll talk to you guys next year again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.